So, Pokémon Platinum. Our new adventure starts standing at the middle of the road, not knowing where to go. We bump into a blonde kid going full Z on us and follow him to his room. He storms out again and invites us to go balls deep in some tall grass. For some reason we listen to the maniac but get stopped by an old guy that looks like Fat Professor Einstein. He gives us a pretty long motivational speech, after which we get interrupted by his cute assistant carrying a briefcase. It turns out the briefcase contains the Sinnoh region starter Pokemon, and that me and Fu Z have a choice between the two. I choose the Fire Ape based on his coolness level, and Fu Z chooses the Penguin. Of course, his hyperactive ass challenges me to a battle as soon as the two bounce, so we do it. I barely manage to beat his ass and go back to my house. My mother hands me the running shoes and tells me that, since I am 27, it was about time for me to get the fuck out of her house. I meet Fu Z on the road again and once again manage to get myself in one of his plans. We end up at a lake, where we spot a blue-haired Dragon Ball Z villain-looking motherfucker talking to the lake. He ends his ritual and walks past us, so I am free to go and get my Pokédex from the professor's lab. I go back to the lake and catch a Bidoof, catch Starly on the first route, then Shinx on the next route. Boom, Jubilife City, where me and Down meet an undercover agent of the International Police, going by the name Looker. Then I go to Pokemon Trainer School and hand my rival a town map, even though I originally planned on trading it for Ultra Balls. Then an oil tycoon sends me to meet 3 clowns in exchange for a prize Pokédex. I pause the mission in order to catch myself a Magikarp on the route west of Jubilife, then come back to the tycoon after meeting the clowns. He hands me my Pokédex and goes to drink his morning protein shake. Then I meet Fu Z again, still wanting to beat me. I mop the floor with his blonde ass, after which the universe rewards me with a Kricketot.
Yay!
I try to fix my mood by catching a Zubat, a Psyduck, a Geodude, and a Machop on various locations. That makes me ready for facing the first gym leader, Rourke, the Rock-type master. I easily steamroll him with my Psyduck and, just like that, I make my first step in becoming the OG of the Sinnoh region. Then I catch myself a Shellos next to Valley Windworks and find this blue-haired Pee-wee guarding the entrance to the building. I try to go for an overhand right off the bat, but he turns around, cowers away to safety and locks the door from the inside. I find more of his contemporaries trying to steal the clothes off a middle-aged person in the flower field, which is, in itself, an interesting scenery, but still one I had to stop. I slap them around, catch myself a Wurmple, and then break into Valley Windworks like AG. There I am forced to fight the Galactic Commander Mars. I nuke her Zubat with 2 confusions from my Psyduck, which brings out the ace, Purigly. Usually, Purigly is dangerous based on his speed and the fact that his early evolution makes him dangerous in the early game. Still, this one only uses Scratch, so it's not that scary. I chip him with my Intimidate Luxio, then send out my Monferno to finish him off with a Mach Punch. On the route above I catch myself a Bizel, then get trapped into a forest adventure with a green-haired broad named Cheryl. I manage to get her out of the forest, and she rewards me with a Soothe Bell.
Yay!
I meet my rival again in Eterna City, then the blue-haired lurker drooling above a statue of some legendary Pokemon. After that I catch myself a Chingling and a Meditite. My plans of chilling and watching Fu Z Tube in my Airbnb get interrupted by a blonde Eurovision singer claiming her name is Cynthia. She hands me the HM for cut and walks off, shaking her ass in front of me.
Yay!
Then I get an Explorer kit from this fine old gentleman, which makes me hack in all the items I can get from the underground.
Yay!
I stumble upon the gym leader in front of the gym. She claims she can't wait to challenge me and goes back in. This weirded me out, but also acted as a huge ego boost, based on the fact I was deeply convinced she was hitting on me. Be that as it may, the Pokemon League rules force me to challenge her, so I do it. She starts Turtwig, and I send out my secret weapon, Chingling. In true Jason Statham style, he hits a crit on his first confusion. The second confusion sends Turtwig to the Shadow Realm and invites Cherrim out. Confusion does some mosquito bite damage to it, so I switch to my Golbat and execute efficient and fast domination over her Pokemon. Second bad. Now being able to use Cut, I am once again blessed with a mission of being the good guy. I go to the Galactic HQ and bump into Looker. He acts as my plug to the final floor, where I meet the second Galactic Commander, Jupiter. I nuke her Zubat with my Luxio, then heavily chip and paralyze the skunk with some sparks. I switch to Monferno to finish the job and, once again, I have saved the day. Then I meet Cynthia again and she hands me a Togepi egg.
Yay!
The fat guy I saved grants me a brand new bicycle and I am free to go.
Yay!
I catch myself a Ponyta on the next route, then get the Earthquake TM from the Wayward Cave. I get myself Bronzer and Rosalia next, then arrive into Jolly Heart Home City. There I take my Monferno for a walk amongst the sand dunes and go challenge the gym leader, Fantina. She is a ghost-type master. I absolutely dominate the starting Duskull with my Crobat, which baits out Mismagius with Psybeam. I switch to Bronzer to bait Shadow Ball, then to my Togetic to yawn it. Then I go to my Luxio for some bites, never in my wildest dream imagining that I would be dead to a Shadow Ball crit. I was. Now knowing that Luxio's special defense is ass, I send out my Gyarados for a Dragon Rage, then try switching around for a yawn once again. I get confused and fail at yawning it, so I go to Bronzer, but get confused again. Bronzer always baits Shadow Ball, so I get a free switch to Staravia, and I manage to land one wing attack. I go back to Bronzer and decide to risk Psybeam crit, but Staravia dodges it and finally beats the monstrosity. I then send out the Crobat that I'd been saving for the Haunter and finish the fight. 3 badges. I then once again meet my rival, but I mop the floor with him in rapid fashion. In Solation Ruins, I catch the Unown, and, this is important for later, forget to get the Defog HM. Then I catch a Ghastly in the Ghost Tower, a Noctowl above Solation Town, and a Marill on a route I don't know the number of. I then meet down in front of the Veilstone City Gym, followed by a guy that looks like Vitali and Rey Mysterio somehow had a child. I get a gift Porygon from one of the locals, then go into the shopping mall to sell some of my items and stack up on TMS and berries. I make a quick detour to the route below to catch myself a Hippopotas, then to the routes below to catch a Rhyhorn, a Girafarig, and a Wingull. Then I roll up to the gym to challenge Maylene, the fighting-type master. I nuke the Metatype with Staravia, which baits out Machoke with Rock Tomb. I switch to Rhyhorn to tank it and bait Karate Chop. I figured that, with his defense being very high, Rhyhorn would live a critical hit Karate Chop, so I stay in for a Tail Whip. The Steroid Head does crit me and I do live and lower his defense. That is now enough for Crobat to KO with one wing attack, which he does. The last one is Lucario that is completely walled by my Gyarados, so we win the match easily. Dawn then tells me that, once again, I am obligated to save the world, so I follow her to the Galactic Warehouse where we slap around 2 Team Galactic grunts. Then Looker shows up, pretending he was participating the whole time. Anyhow, this effort at least grants me the HM for Fly, so I can advance on my journey.
Yay!
On the route east of Pastoria, I catch myself a Krogunk, and then go off to challenge Vitali and Rey Mysterio's son. I am then again interrupted by my electric rival, who I easily slap around in front of shocked and amazed natives of Pastoria City. The mofo's stage name is Crasher Wake, and he is a master of water types. He starts with his own Gyarados, and I chip him with my Roost Pelipper enough for my own Gyarados to finish with Dragon Rage. That baits Quagsire with Rock Tomb. I switch to Rhyhorn to bait Water Pulse, then to Rosalia and delete it with Giga Drain. Floatzel comes out with Ice Fang, so I go to my Bronzer to tank it and put him to sleep with Hypnosis. A couple of extrasensory later and Crasher Wake is now a resident of the Shadow Realm. 5 badges. I get jumped by my rival in front of the gym, claiming there is an emergency in the Great Marsh and that both me and Wake have to intervene. The moment we went up there, a bomb blew up, followed by a traumatized and panicky Team Galactic grunt evaluating his ass from the compound. Wake goes in to check for the damage, and I am tasked with chasing young Muhammad Atta to a lakeside. There I knock him out based on him being smaller than me.
Yay!
He runs away, and Cynthia shows up, amazed by my boxing skill and obviously wanting to suck me off.
Yay!
We are then rudely interrupted by my rival, who just blabs for a moment and runs off. Cynthia then gives me a bottle of liquid heroin to give to the Psyducks blocking the road above Solation.
Yay!
I go and drug the animals, and they move out of my way.
Yay!
Cynthia then appears again and gives me a thing called Old Charm to bring to her grandma or something.
Yay!
Now, let's pause for a moment. Remember when I said I forgot to pick up the HM for defog from Solation Ruins? Forget to get the defog HM. 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 See the thickness of this fog? See these two horny middle-aged people running around? How are they going to channel their excess of sex? I fail to dodge them, thinking it's just another fight. Immediately I get cooked by them, starting Raichu and a Gyarados against my Crobat and Bibarel. Fearing super effective damage, I switch both to Bronzong and Rosalia. Bronzong gets hit by a Thunderbolt, but I simply click Extrasensory thinking I have a Bronzer, a Steel type lives everything, and Giga Drain with Rosalia. Then in the next second, my Bronzer gets hit by one of the hardest Aqua Tails ever known to humanity, which completely runs him into the abyss. Perplexed and enraged, I send Bidoof out, thinking he will at least live one electric type attack and maybe flinch with a headbutt. Then both of my Mons miss their attack because of the fog. Then, forgetting that Gyarados has Ice Fang, I stay in with my Rosalia and get absolutely nuked out of existence. At this point, I had no other choice than to send out Golduck. I click Water Pulse and Aqua Jet. Bibarel hits, Golduck misses, but they also miss, so okay. Headbutt from the DOOF kills the Raichu, and then the two water types manage to survive against the Gyarados for the victory. These two deaths lowered my confidence severely, and, quite frankly, I had no option than turn to the bottle in the vain hope it will help peaking my performance. Then, one more goddamn time, I meet a galactic grunt threatening to bomb a place in Celestic Town. At this point, all of this being the good guy bullshit started to severely get on my nerves, and I felt a strong urge to join the culprit in his endeavors.
Yay!
I go staring at some Neanderthal artwork in the bottom of a cave, joined by Cynthia's unbearable grandmother. She tells me a story about the legend or Sinnoh or something, while I dream about places never seen. We are then interrupted by the Dragon Ball character. What is it with everybody interrupting everybody in this game? It's driving me insane. Anyhow, the bloke's name is Cyrus and he is the leader of Team Galactic. He tries to correct the grandmama about her knowledge of history. The situation, of course, escalates, and now I am forced to fight evil, once again. Still, I manage to clap his cheeks easily. He then teleports out to somewhere and leaves me and the grandma alone. Being Cynthia's kin, she also gains serious hots for me, and tries to subtly grab me by my crotch like I am not 55 years younger than her. I dodge the predator's claw with a backstep, after which she leaves the HM for Surf on the floor and bounces out, embarrassed.
Yay!
On the way out I meet her granddaughter. She grabs the back of my head and starts aggressively smooching me, leaving saliva all over my face. I push her back, after which she tells me to go to Jubilife and sail to Canalave next. I make a detour to Pastoria to catch a Tentacool, then to Eterna for Barboach, and to my hometown for Goldeen. I also catch a Mr. Mime on the route before Canalave. My rival surprises me on the Canalave bridge and challenges me to a fight. He starts with a Staraptor and I throw my Togetic at him. I charm him once for good measure, then start throwing ancient powers to his face. Then he hits me with a takedown that must have been conceived in the depths of hell, because that is where it sends my Togetic. I was originally surprised by the fact it was able to one-shot me, but later I remembered that Staraptor can have the ability Reckless, which powers up recoil moves. Adding the stab boost to that and the fact that it was a critical hit, I am truly surprised it didn't also give him the Omni Boost based on the absolute chadness of this vicious animal. Anyhow, I finish him off with a Cross Poison from Crobat, which baits out the Rapidash. Cross Poison and Recoil take care of the horse, and a fly absolutely nukes the following her across. On the Empoleon I go to the DOOF and smack him with couple rock smashes to drop his defense. I then risk a crit and yawn him and switch to Golduck, cause my Crobat and Infernape can't do shit to the Penguin. Golduck uses 2 Screeches and finishes the beast with 2 Aqua Jets. Infernape finishes Roserade and I win, although the one loss was pretty painful. I then travel to Iron Islands where I meet a character for whom we are all supposed to think is cool, Riley. He grants me a strength HM and invites me to the cave. I use the opportunity to catch an Onix, and then this happens. Anyhow, after beating the cave, Riley grants me a Riolu egg, and I go challenge the gym leader, Byron. Despite finding his ruggedness cool, I am forced to send him to the Shadow Realm, just like the rest of them. Whiscash does the job with a magnitude and few mud bombs, and, just like that, we have 6 badges in our hands. Then, again, for the 50th time, Barry jumps me and invites me to participate in the Saving the World Committee.
Yay!
While the 3 of us were debating whether or not we should get rid of Donald Trump, we heard an explosion so hard I didn't piss my pants, but decided to do so willingly because it froze the fear inside me and transformed it into a desire for engaging in a humiliation ritual.
Yay!
Then, once again, this time pissed on and severely traumatized, I am sent to save the world all by myself.
Yay!
I go to Lake Number 1 to find suffocating Magikarp and galactic grunts sadistically enjoying their suffering.
Yay!
I sneak past them to get into the cave, where I am challenged by Galactic Commander Saturn. I slap him around, and then go to Lake Number 2 to annihilate the other commanders. Here I find Rowan and Dawn manhandling the lot, and I help them by knocking the fuck out of Commander Mars.
Yay!
He tells us that they are after the legendary Uxie, Azelf, and Mesprit, and we accept the valuable info and move on. On my way to Snowpoint, I catch myself a Sneasel, a Swinub, and a Snorunt. Then I find Barry on top of a hill, screaming he met Moses, and that he now, finally, is aware of his full destiny, then disappearing into the lake.
Yay!
The 7th gym leader is the master of Ice-type Pokemon. She starts Sneasel, and I send out my Lucario. An Aura Sphere drills a hole through Sneasel's heart and baits Piloswine with Earthquake. I switch to Gyarados and get rid of him with an Aqua Tail. Then Frostless comes out and 2 Aqua Tails are enough for the kill. I switch to Rapidash on the Abomasnow and delete it with Fire Blast. 7 badges. Then I use Rock Climb to get to the lake, where I find Barry and Commander Jupiter passionately kissing in the snow. Just when Barry reached down to grab her ass, she noticed me, murmured some words, and then ran away from the scene. Barry then told me it was all a mistake and that it happened after their intense battling, but I didn't believe a word from his mouth. I used the opportunity to catch myself a Snover at the lake, and then go to Veilstone City to hunt down the rest of Team Galactic. The Galactic Grunt in front of the headquarters panics and hands me the storage key, after which Looker barges in, claiming it is of vital importance for me to go to Team Galactic warehouse. I do as he says and completely raid the compound, like a mercenary or something. My effort grants me a galactic key which I use to enter the headquarters.
Yay!
On the top floor, I find something like a hall filled with blue heads. Me and Looker then witness one of the worst political speeches of all time, which somehow motivated me in slapping the shit out of Cyrus, simply based on his lack of effort put into mass manipulation. Looker tells me Cyrus' speech made him fear for world's future. Still, it somehow didn't make him eager to defeat evil himself, so he bounced and told me to finish the job. I barged in on Cyrus, putting his genitalia into a hole in the machine, which didn't shock me in the least.
Yay!
After noticing me, he zipped his pants like it was nothing and started whistling a happy tune. He then openly admitted to me his speech was a sack of shit aiming at brainwashing the target audience, and that he wanted a world all for himself. Remembering all of the people I've met in my life, I couldn't blame him. After he started randomly citing the Bible, I told him to shut the fuck up and face me in battle. He laughed and we started the dance. The fight itself was pretty easy, but then he told me he is going to the top of MT Coronet, and that, after executing what he planned for, everyone will crumble underneath his feet and tell him that he was right all along. He then gave me a master ball and teleported the fuck out.
Yay!
Now I had no option but to go to MT Coronet. Just before I stepped into the suspicious cave entrance, Looker showed up and made a gargantuan contribution by providing me with a black flute.
Yay!
Barely holding back tears, I shook his hand and politely asked him never to help me again. I follow the path and end up on top of a ruined temple of sort, where all of Team Galactic top executives awaited. Barry shows up soon after and helps me slap around Jupiter and Mars. Then we all witness Cyrus summoning Dialga and Palkia, and opening a portal that led straight to the Shadow Realm. Of course, he jumps in. Cynthia shows up and tells me it is of key importance for me to also dive head first into the Shadow Realm, because it's just the way it is.
Yay!
Not knowing the path back down, I do what she told me, in a vain hope that I will get absolutely carried in this one. Me and her solve the puzzle then, only for me to be obliged to fight Cyrus again. Now, before I start, I have to say that this was the ugliest of ugly fights ever seen in my whole entire life, and you'll soon see why. I defeat his starting Houndoom with close combat by Lucario. Then Gyarados comes, and I throw my own Gyarados at it to 1v1 him with Thunderbolt. I manage to do that, which bring out the Honchkrow. Thinking that I will simply beat it with Graveler, I use a Rock Blast, get a 3-shot, fail at killing, and then get nuked by a Psychic from the beast. I switch to Umbreon and he full restores. Drill Peck does numbers, and I confuse him. Wanting to save the Umbreon, I go to Bibarel, who I brought as an HM slave, just to do some damage and die. He dies before doing anything and I go to Umbreon. I hit the confusion and finish with a close combat from Lucario. Then Crobat comes. Confident in living in Air Slash, I try sending a Flash Cannon. I get flinched, which procs my Steadfast ability and raises my speed. Wanting to save Lucario, I switch to Gyarados for an Intimidate and a Thunderbolt, then Rhydon finishes with Stone Edge. His last Pokemon is Weevil and my team is looking pretty dire. Everything except Lucario dies on a switch in. Still, even if I sack Rhydon, I am still pretty confident I can simply finish off the Weevil with my plus speed Lucario. I click Hammer Arm with Rhydon, and the Ice Punch freezes me.
Yay!
Now, not knowing I am the unluckiest person in the world, I foolishly decide to greed for no more deaths, thinking there is no way an Ice Punch freezes twice in a row, and switch to Lucario. Then this happens.
Well, in your own life, do you suffer because suffering is intrinsic to being, or do you suffer because you bite off more than you can chew? If you're progressing optimally, and so that would be progressing in the...
Have I simply sacked Rhydon or Graveler, I could have just nuked the beast with close combat. At this point, my laptop's health is in serious danger. I try to thaw out with Lucario, figuring I live one more attack. I do, but nothing. I carefully calculate my outs and decide my best option is sacking Rhydon, then going into Gyarados to intimidate the beast once, which will enable my Umbreon to live longer, then sacking Graveler for a free switch, then intimidate again and sack, then using Confuse Ray with Umbreon and using potential self-hits to unthaw with Lucario in hindsight. I could have saved Graveler and go for Rock Blast kills, or save Gyarados and try to finish with him, but I was too scared of Umbreon not living Ice Punch, so I wanted more Intims. I do what I planned. Confuse Ray with Umbreon, then go to Lucario, but he just X-scissors my remaining Mons for the victory. Now, even though I obviously misplayed heavily by not sacking into a Lucario finish, don't tell me a double Ice Punch freeze isn't one of the universe's ugliest jokes you've seen in your life. Still, having no other option, I started attempt 2. Now, allow me to pause at this point. As you see, I defeated most of the game once again. After this, I defeated Candace, Cyrus twice, the second time I came prepared and easily nuked him, then Gym Leader Faulkner, then my rival before the Elite Four challenge, and then Elite Four Aaron, but forgot to press record or something during this, because I couldn't find it while editing. This is how my recording for this part of the game looks like. Basically, you're going to have to trust me on this one. Now, where are we? Yes, the Pokemon League. Here's the team I chose for this challenge. Number 1, Floatzel, with Surf, Ice Beam, Natural Gift, and Crunch. Number 2, Bronzong, with Extrasensory, Hypnosis, Flash Cannon, and Future Sight. Number 3, Crobat, with Fly, Haze, Cross Poison, and Bite. Number 4, Houndoom, with Flamethrower, Thunder Fong, Crunch, and Roar. Number 5, Gastrodon, with Surf, Rain Dance, Recover, and Mud Bomb. Number 6, Infernape, with Flare Blitz, Close Combat, Stealth Rock, and Earthquake. So, second Elite Four member is Bertha, the Ground-type Master. She starts Whiscash and I start Floatzel. I gave him a Pinap Berry to get 70 base power Grass-type Natural Gift, and deleted the fish. I did it with Floatzel and not a Grass-type just so I can sweep the rest of her team. Glisker dies to Ice Beam, Golem, Rhyperior, and Hippowdon die to Surfs. Next Elite Four member is Flint, the Fire-type Master. He starts Houndoom and I start Infernape to set up Stealth Rock. He poisons me with Sludge Bomb, but I heal it with a held Pecha Berry. Next turn I nuke him with Close Combat, which brings out his own Infernape with Earthquake. I switch to Crobat for free and use U-turn, even thought I could have used Fly. My goal here is to chip it enough for a Wide Lens Fly to be a guaranteed kill, so I dodge Crobat dying to Flare Blitz crit. I go to Gastrodon on a Fire move, then to Crobat on Earthquake and repeat the process. I finish the monkey with Wide Lens Fly, which baits out Magmortar with Thunderbolt. I go to Gastrodon, then to Bronzer for a Solar Beam, then to Floatzel with Rostberry to heal the burn. From this point, Floatzel just outspeeds and kills everything with Waterfall. The last Elite Four member is Lucian, the Psychic-type Master. He starts with Mr. Mime and I start with U-turn Infernape. I kill the Mimic with U-turn and go to Gastrodon to bait Alakazam with Energy Ball. I then send out Bronzong to 1v1 the Alakazam, but Lucian switches into his own Bronzong after one Flash Cannon. Knowing he'd probably Calm Mind, I switch to Crobat to bait a kill with Psychic the next turn. My plan works and I go to Houndoom for free. I see the opportunity to PP stall Psychic and Earthquake by switching between Crobat and Houndoom, so I do it. I manage to do it and then safely finish with Flare Blitz from Infernape. Then comes Espeon and Houndoom finishes with 2 crunches. Galate comes in with Stone Edge. I switch to Gastro, then to Crobat on the Leaf Blade and finish the thing with Wide Lens Fly. I finish the Alakazam with a crit U-turn and we move on to the champion. I climbed the elevator and found her standing on a shiny neon Pokeball. I liked the stage a lot, even to a point I would call it based. Cynthia tried to give me a hug, but I pushed her back and attacked with ferocious intent. She started Spiritomb and I started Houndoom. The dog used 2 flamethrowers, then she healed, then flamethrower again, then she deviously switches to her Milotic. I simply KO it with a Thunder Farm from Houndoom. Then Garchomp comes out. Thinking he will Earthquake, I switch to my Crobat, but he uses Dragon Rush. Luckily, he missed. I use U-turn to chip and go to Bronzong to tank Dragon Rush. I decide to risk crit on my Floatzel, which pays off since I live Giga Impact. I Ice Beam next turn for a kill. Then Roserade comes out, but I make a mistake of forgetting it has Extrasensory, so I switch to Infernape on a random move and get nuked. I manage to get a kill with Flare Blitz, but die to recoil damage. I send out Houndoom to bait Aura Sphere from Togekiss, then go to Crobat to tank it. I use U-turn and go to Gastrodon for free on Shockwave. I try to 1v1 him with flashes and recover, but he wins, and easily. Floatzel throws an Ice Beam and dies, and then I go to Houndoom. Thunder Fawn luckily hits and kills, but I miss a kill on the Lucario and get sent to the Shadow Realm with an Aura Sphere. Use Rest and Recycle to 1v1 the Lucario, but he lives the last extrasensory with 1 HP, and then Crobat finishes. Crobat also 1v1s the Spiritomb, and that is it. We become the Sinnoh League champions. I was pretty satisfied with my cooking and execution in the Elite Four, except the final champion fight that was pretty messy. Basically, hadn't I learned Rest and Recycle to Bronzong, I would have lost. In hindsight, I could have tried killing the Togekiss with Houndoom and then Floatzel to save the Gastrodon for Lucario since he had Recover and a high special defense, but still, I managed to win, so I'm fine with everything. For now, catch us in the next episode of the Mega Challenge, and, if you have any taste whatsoever, subscribe this instant. Here's an outro from us that was too base to be an intro. See you in the next one.
Feeling lucky?